Hello, and welcome to my presentation entitled The Polystyrene Mask. My name is Marie Josephine Bennett. Just before I begin, I'd like to thank Alice Hiller for giving me permission to use a number of the photographs of polystyrene and X-ray specs that were taken by the late Falcon Stewart as part of this presentation. So let me introduce you to polystyrene. Born Marianne Elliott Said in Bromley on the edge of southeast London, she was the child of a white mother and a Somalian father. Marianne left school at 15 and got a job as a junior buyer for a store in the Soho area of London. However, she decided to leave home to go hitchhiking around the country, starting in Hastings on the south coast. It was there that she saw the Sex Pistols perform. It was on her 19th birthday in July 1976. And she then decided to try to put a band together herself and placed an advertisement in the music papers Melody Maker and New Musical Express for, quote, young punks who want to stick it together, unquote. Following auditions, she formed the punk group X-Ray Specs in late 1976. At this point, Marianne adopted the name Polystyrene, selecting it from the Yellow Pages telephone directory. She said that she chose the name, quote, because it's a lightweight, disposable product. It was a send-up of being a pop star, like a little figure, not me, unquote. Polystyrene became Marianne's persona. At the time, it was unusual for a female singer to be fronting a band. Furthermore, Polly did not conform to the stereotypical gender roles expected of female singers of the day. Instead, she created an identity that was both distinctive and refreshing for the time. She often wore brightly coloured day-glow clothes, for example, which was quite different from the uniform of most punk bands of the time. Their members tended to favour spiked or torn clothing, visible safety pins, and T-shirts with slogans that often aimed to offend. She made many of her clothes herself and rejected figure-hugging dresses, preferring clothes that downplayed the female body shape. Fellow punk musician Helen McCookery-Book, remembering seeing Polly on the TV show Top of the Pops, has stated that, quote, she wasn't that sort of Twiggy and Cloda Rogers type, all those kinds of very girly, soft, floaty women. Polly attracted a lot of attention because she was primarily a young woman in a man's world, and as noted by McCookery-Book, quote, she yelled at the top of her voice and it was so refreshing, unquote. In 1979, the BBC made a documentary about the singer. It's interesting that they decided to title the programme Who is Polystyrene, as this appears to acknowledge the persona element and a quest to discover who the young woman was behind the mask. As Philip Auslander has argued, quote, we must be suspicious of any supposition that musicians are simply being themselves on stage, unquote. Indeed, Polly herself suggests in the documentary that Polly is a character, stating, quote, I'm like an actress, on stage I'm one thing, and off stage I'm something else, unquote. Polly is thus Marianne's performance persona, but even off stage, Marianne was expected to remain behind the polystyrene mask. She articulated this idea herself in the documentary. She stated, quote, you just blank out, you just cut off, you just don't want to have to be this thing that they've come to see. So when people come backstage, you just act out being the person they expect to see, unquote. David Marshall et al. Note of a persona that, quote, it is a fabrication comprised from an interpretation of one's identity and how that identity is made into a public entity, unquote. While Polly understood that she was a personality for public consumption, nevertheless, as her daughter Celeste Bell has explained, quote, she'd created this persona, an alter ego, and it became distressing when people didn't see the real person behind the facade, unquote. Polly was unique in many respects. She was a punk artist who was a woman of colour. She had braces on her teeth. Actually, she was often asked about these by interviewers. Makes me wonder whether a young man would have been asked the same questions. She was a songwriter, she was an artist, and she was fronting a band. Her songs were very different as well. In the group's 1978 single called Identity, the lyrics discuss representation, whether you see yourself on the television or in magazines, how you react when you do see a reflection of your image. It even includes references to self-harm. Other tracks on the X-Ray Specs album Germ-Free Adolescence, the only album released before Polly disbanded the group in 1979, are called Artificial and I Am a Cliché. Of course, in Polly's case, nothing could have been further from the truth. As I said, Polly was unique. Beneath the polystyrene mask was a sensitive, multiracial young woman who did not fit into the assumed social identity role of females in the late 1970s. Indeed, Polly wrote about this herself in Identity. In the song, she proclaims that identity is a crisis, can't you see? In I Am a Poser, she proposes that my facade is just a fake, shock, horror, no escape. She sung in the track Artificial that when putting on makeup, the pretty little mask's not me, explaining that this is just something expected by a society focused on consumerism. Her daughter Celeste has stated that her mother, quote, wanted to be famous and a pop star and a celebrity. She rejected it later because she realised what it entailed and the cost, unquote. One wonders what things may have been like for Polly in the world of today, with social media so much to the forefront of many celebrities' lives. What would Polly's online persona have been? Or would she have rejected such platforms? Richard Elliott rightly suggests that, quote, popular musicians with long careers provide rich source material for the study of persona, unquote. But I would argue that those with shorter careers, or at least those with perceptibly shorter careers, do so as well. The polystyrene persona lives on regardless, via the concert footage available, the 1979 documentary, her daughter's recent film and book, and also through her innovative songs. Thank you.